They're set. Del Rey, National AG Hunter Cup, and they're on their journey. They're racing.
Lazarus keeps giving the miracle horse in front, and Lazarus has done it again. The best pacer in the Southern Hemisphere, and he does it again. The King of Milton, Tiger Tara. King of Swing grabbed by our Uncle Sam. King of Swing kicks though. Our Uncle Sam trying to lift again. King of Swing. Time to party with Artie, and Lochinvar Art, Australia's best horse, wins arguably Australia's best race. King of Swing fighting though, he's a superstar, a champion pacer. King of Swing wins his second Del Rey National Hunter Cup.
Very happy Tuesday morning here on Sky Racing 1, and welcome to the barrier draw for this year's AG Hunter Cup to be run at Tabcorp Park, Milton this Saturday evening. $500,000 on the line for many of the best pacers in the Southern Hemisphere. It's a time-honoured race, a race that produces great storylines. They're normally incredibly frenetically run races over the staying distance as well. Here's hoping that's to be the same again this weekend. And what a lineup we have assembled. Victoria's best. Many from New South Wales are also making the trip down, and we have the Kiwis back, which has really made this race something else. There was plenty of conjecture over the final 12 horses. We now have the 12 horses plus the first emergency, and this morning's barrier draw is going to be so vital. Probably outside of the favourite pre-barrier draw, copy that. Every other horse in this race, if they're to draw poorly, could well be a roughie in the market. Here is the field for the Group 1 $500,000 AG Hunter Cup. Copy that. One of the Kiwis, Expensive Ego, has made his way into the field. There was a bit of chatter around whether or not he would make his way south. Honolulu Bay, Hurricane Harley, both from the Emma Stewart team. I Cast No Shadow, the Inter-Dominion champion. Mac Dan is there as well for Emma Stewart and Clayton Tonkin. Major Meister was able to win the Cranbourne and the Bendigo Pacing Cups in preparation for this to force his way into the field. Old Town Road, only so lightly raced, but so exciting. We were able to see him for the first time on Australian soil at Ballarat, where he was very much a flashing light run. What about Rock and Roll Do? Of course, we know he's had a troubled campaign so far, but he's lining up, as is Spirit of St. Louis, off the back of 2 preparational wins. Torrid Saint, the Inter-Dominion runner-up. 888 is there as well, the Warhorse, and Cranbourne is to be the first emergency in this year's Hunter Cup after winning the Shepparton Cup. That just shows you the depth and strength of this year's field. Out of the Melbourne studio this morning, we'll be conducting the official barrier draw with Ryan Phelan and Stephen Bell from HRV. Good morning, gents. I'll leave it to you. This one's going to be so important.
Good morning, Brittany, to you, and good morning everyone on our Sky One audience. As you correctly pointed out, Brittany, since 1949 this has been a time-honoured race. Champions win it. Horses like Pure Steel, Gamelite, Popular Arm, Village Kid, Black's a Fake. It is not just a good horses race, it's a champions race, and what a field we have assembled for this Saturday night at Melton. Stephen Bell, racing manager from Harness Racing Victoria, is with me this morning to conduct the barrier draw. Let me explain how it will work off camera. From Integrity, we will randomly draw the 13 horses. First, their names will come out first, and then Stephen will reach into the barrel with those particular marbles and draw out those barrier draws. So let's get into it without any further ado. And the first horse we have is Expensive Ego for Luke and Belinda McCarthy, who had a pretty impressive Inter-Dominion campaign through the heats, and it has come up with barrier 9 for Expensive Ego. So barrier 9, Expensive Ego. Mac Dan is our next horse out. The 2022 Newcastle Mile winner has come up with barrier 7 for trainer Emma Stewart. Mark Pitt likely to take the drive. 888 for Jess Tubbs, and also Greg Sugars has come up with barrier 5 for 888, third in the Ballarat Cup last week or 2 weeks ago. So that is I Cast No Shadow has come up with barrier number 3. We just put that back in there. So that's barrier 3 with ball 3. We've taken that out. So that is I Cast No Shadow for Jason Grimson, who of course is the Inter Dominion champion. Torrid Saint is our next horse out.
Barrier 2.
The Inter Dominion runner-up has come up with barrier 2. Very good gate speed for trainer Julie Douglas. Now Cranbourne is the first emergency, and as I mentioned, will be drawn into the field. The Shepparton Cup winner
Barrier 11.
has come up with barrier 11 off the back row, the emergency. Hurricane Harley, who was so dominant on Saturday night, bouncing back to his best,
Barrier 8.
has come up with barrier 8 off the second row. Maybe over the longer trip, that's not such a bad thing. Copy that, the race favourite New Zealand Cup winner, Ballarat Cup winner,
Barrier 6.
has come up with barrier number 6 for Copy That for trainer Ray Green. Spirit of St Louis for Luke and Belinda McCarthy, who's gone bang bang, 2 wins from 2
Barrier
since
1.
its Melbourne campaign, has come up with barrier 1. Very important for Spirit of St Louis, in great form and good gate speed. Old Town Road, who was terrific in running 5th in the Ballarat Cup, is
13.
next and has come up with the horror draw of barrier 13 for the John Dickey trained Kiwi Old Town Road. Rock and Roll Do for Michael Stanley, the Victoria Cup winner,
Barrier 10.
has come up with barrier 10. He'll be watching that all unfold from the back row. Major Meister, who won, of course, the Cranbourne Cup and also Bendigo Cup
Barrier
for
12.
Jason Grimson, has come up with barrier number 12. And the last barrier should be barrier 4.
Barrier 4.
Which goes to Honolulu Bay. So as I recap those, number 1 is Spirit of St Louis. Number 2, Torrid Saint. Number 3, I Cast No Shadow. Barrier 4 is Honolulu Bay. Barrier 5, 888. Barrier 6 is Copy That. Barrier 7, Mac Dan. Barrier 8 is Hurricane Harley, so that will be 1 off the back row for Hurricane Harley. Number 9, barrier 9 is Expensive Ego, 2 off the back row. Rock and Roll Do, 10. Cranbourne, the first emergency, barrier 11. Major Meister, barrier number 12. And Old Town Road will complete the field, barrier number 13. So Brittany, as you correctly pointed out in your preamble, barrier draws so important. And from what we've seen there, certainly advantage to the New South Wales pacer, Spirit of St Louis.
No doubt about that, Ryan. We're about to take a really quick break here on Sky Racing 1, and on the other side we'll link up with Jack Trainer. We know he's had a great relationship with I Cast No Shadow. They combined to win the Len Smith Mile, and this Saturday night he'll be partnering up with him to try and add a Hunter Cup. We'll be back with that very shortly. Welcome back to the live barrier draw of this year's AG Hunter Cup here on Sky Racing 1. We've had the official draw conducted. We've had a few moments to soak it all in and try in our heads to maybe figure out a speed map and how this race is going to play out. I think the barrier draw has made it so intriguing. We've got Copy That drawn out wide. Spirit of St Louis, he's had the fortune of coming up with barrier 1, and all of those other runners around them are going to have to sort themselves out as well. One of them is the Inter Dominion champ, I Cast No Shadow, and Jack Trainer came down to drive him in the Ballarat Cup only 10 days or so ago, and it would appear as though he's going to partner up with the stallion once more. Good morning, Jack. Thanks for joining us here for this barrier draw. You've watched it play out live. First things first, let's not worry about everybody else. What do you make of your barrier draw, gate number 3 with I Cast No Shadow?
Yeah, good morning, Brittany. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, obviously it's hard to be disappointed with barrier 3. It's nice and close to the action, and with some of the probably main dangers drawing wide, yeah, probably couldn't be happier, to be honest.
You were able to partner up with him at Ballarat, as I mentioned, and what did you assess his run, well, how did you assess his run? Because he finished midfield. We know he's now had the 2 runs back since the Inter Dominion and a short break. You weren't aboard for that campaign, but you know him so well, and the Len Smith Mile was a race you combined to win together. So what did you think of his run, and was it the run leading into a Hunter Cup that you were hoping for?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a head scratcher. I was at first off, I was probably a little bit disappointed. He was 1-1 the whole way, and He loomed up really well around the corner as if he was going to at least run second, and probably just died on his run a little bit earlier than what I would have liked. But when we went back and watched the race, me and Jace, a lot of the horses, or the first 4 horses home, all got up along the fence. So whether that had something to play with it, I don't know. But obviously, as people well know, that Jason Grimson's had long enough now to get him right. So I've got full confidence that he can turn him around.
Spirit of St. Louis, the big winner in this barrier draw. You've seen so much of him as well over the last few seasons. We saw blazing gate speed from him in the Inter-Dominion, where he was able to lead and win a heat. Your initial reaction to Spirit of St. Louis coming up with barrier draw number 1, do you expect him to have enough gate speed to lead, and do you think that's a position that Team McCarthy and Jack Callaghan will want to be hanging on to over the long trip?
Yeah, he's blessed, that Jack Callaghan. It's a great draw for Spirit of St. Louis, and I've got no doubt he does have the gate speed and now holds the key to the race. Whether or not he holds the whole way, I'd imagine if something like a copy that found its way to the chair and put enough pressure on it, I'm sure he'd be happy to take a sit. But yeah, I think he's definitely by all means got enough gate speed to make that decision, and he definitely holds the key.
Gate speed is so important in these races, and just looking once more at this front row when you were just discussing Spirit of St. Louis' chances just then, it looks stacked. Spirit of St. Louis, Torrid Saint is very quick. We know I Cast No Shadow has enough gate speed to hold his own. Honolulu Bay very fast, copy that, and Mac Dan. So do you expect this to be a frenetically run Hunter Cup in the early stages? And I would assume if that's to be the case, you don't want to be involved too much.
No, that's right. Yeah, there's definitely enough speed on the front line to make that sort of a race, Brittany. Like you said, being over the long trip, you've only got so much petrol you can spend early before you're obviously vulnerable late. So I think it's going to make an exciting race, and yeah, it's probably one of the better fields we've had over the last couple of years. So excited to be a part of it, and hopefully I'm not one of those ones using too much petrol early.
No doubt. Well, it's been a big start to the year for you already from a training perspective on home base, and the fact that you're heading away to Melbourne this weekend to partner up with I Cast No Shadow, I think is a good lead as well. Best of luck this weekend. Here's hoping it's the start of a very good 2023 for you. We appreciate your time this morning.
Not a problem. Thanks very much, Britt.
Jack Trainer joining us this morning here as part of our barrier draw for the Hunter Cup, and as mentioned, he'll partner up with I Cast No Shadow on Saturday evening. The Inter-Dominion champ is looking to add a Hunter Cup to his trophy room. Now let's recap this barrier draw. Again, it's been a few moments for us to digest things, but let's once more look over this barrier draw in its entirety. Spirit of St. Louis, barrier number 1. Torrid Saint 2, I Cast No Shadow 3, Honolulu Bay 4, he was brilliant in the Ballarat Cup. 888-5, a tricky draw for him. Copy that. Out in gate number 6, he couldn't have been any better in that Ballarat Pacing Cup, so he's coming into this full of confidence. Mac Dan 7, and then we have the second row runners as well. Hurricane Harley, I think that's a perfect draw for him. Coiled away on the inside, 8, Expensive Ego 9. You would expect to have to make a move at some point in time. That's his pattern. Rock and Roll Do, maybe he's in the same boat. Where is he at? Cranbourne, if he's to gain a start, will wear the 11 saddlecloth. Major Meister 12 looks tricky, as does the 13 for Old Town Road. Those two runners in particular, they'll be really relying on that lead time to be run at a solid pace. The market is now open post-barrier draw for the AG Hunter Cup. Copy that retains favouritism at $225. Spirit of St. Louis $450, Expensive Ego $750, Honolulu Bay $850, Hurricane Harley $9. Old Town Road at 14. Before him is Rock and Roll Do at 10. Major Meister next best at 17, and then the rest are at much longer odds. Let's link back in with Ryan Phelan out of the Melbourne studio. Ryan, we've just spoken to Jack Trainer. We've seen the market. What's your initial thoughts on this barrier draw? I think it sets up perfectly. Spirit of St. Louis, Jack Callaghan has a lot of decisions to make. Copy that will be heading forward. I think he'll be amongst quite a few on the forward charge early. This could really set up to be a quickly run Hunter Cup.
It's an extraordinary draw, isn't it, Brittany, when you consider every horse really drawn 1 to 6 can, in their careers, show quite good gate speed. Gate speed and pattern is one thing, but then you've got to ask the next question, is there pressure? And the answer to that is yes. Off the back row, we will get that pressure from the likes of Expensive Ego and Rock and Roll Do. So I think this will be a very genuinely run Hunter Cup. There'll be an early burn. There'll be a little bit of a back off, and that's where you'll see that mid-race pressure from the likes of Expensive Ego and Rock and Roll Do. So I'm looking for the horses that get the most economical run through that passage. You referenced Hurricane Harley. He might need a little bit of luck, but I'm looking at Honolulu Bay as the one to beat. Those tab odds that were flashed up there before, Brittany, I think look really good at around $8.50. His run in the Ballarat Cup to finish second was excellent. Remember, he was the top point scorer during the Inter-Dominion Series. So you could say, in many respects, the most accomplished horse on home turf here with his performances in the Inter-Dominion. And I think Honolulu Bay will be the fresh horse in the last 200 metres of this race. So he's my pick, Brittany, for the Hunter Cup. Which one are you looking at? Are you being parochial for Team McCarthy? Do you think it'll be a local victory? As you mentioned, that New Zealand flavour this year brings a lot to the race as well. Who do you like?
It's interesting, isn't it? I think I still have to side with Copy that his Ballarat performance was brilliant. In saying that, he's just going... I think that he'll work his way to the lead at some point in time, but as I mentioned to Jack Trainer, Jack Callaghan has all of the aces with that inside barrier draw. Or do we see a surprise early on and see one of these horses drawn a little wider, cross him earlier, and then really make things interesting? I think a few will throw their hat in the ring, that's for sure and certain, particularly for $500,000. Really appreciate your help this morning, Ryan, and of course Stephen and the team there out of the Victorian studio. Looking forward to this weekend. The build-up now gets really serious. Cannot wait for both Friday with the Great Southern Star and Saturday night with the Hunter Cup.
Thanks, Brittany. It's an exciting time in harness racing in Victoria, and it all really culminates with this time-honoured race on Saturday night. Looking forward to covering it with you, and looking forward, as you mentioned as well, to the Great Southern Star on Friday night. So it's all happening.
A very, very big weekend in Victorian harness racing, and you'll catch it all here on Sky Racing 1 across Friday and Saturday night. Plenty of build-up still to come. Stay tuned throughout the week, and that tab market is sure to change over the next little while. You can catch it on your tab app or the tab website. Thanks for joining us this morning. To all the connections this weekend, the very best of luck. And as mentioned, you can see it all here on Sky Racing 1 on Saturday night, the AG Hunter Cup.
They're set. Del Rey, National AG Hunter Cup, and they're on their journey. They're racing.
Lazarus keeps giving the miracle horse in front, and Lazarus has done it again. The best pacer in the Southern Hemisphere, and he does it again. The King of Milton, Tiger Tara. King of Swing grabbed by our Uncle Sam. King of Swing kicks though. Our Uncle Sam trying to lift again. King of Swing. Time to party with Artie, and Lochinvar, Australia's best horse, wins arguably Australia's best race. King of Swing fighting though, he's a superstar, a champion pacer. King of Swing wins his second Del Rey National Hunter Cup.